Hello folks, this is Sula once again. Welcome to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is going to be an introduction to Set 6. Set 6 is the newest set for Teamfight Tactics. It actually just came out yesterday as I'm recording this, and this footage is from the very first day of Set 6. Now, since this is an introductory video, I'm going to assume that if you're watching this, you are not familiar with Teamfight Tactics. I'm sure most of the people watching this are familiar with Teamfight Tactics, but I'm going to walk you through some of the basics of gameplay, and then we'll talk a little bit about how this game goes. And as I said, it'll serve as an introduction to the mechanics of this game for those who might be trying to pick up or learn Teamfight Tactics for the first time, since there's always a lot of people like that at the beginning of a set. All right, so what is Teamfight Tactics? Well, this is an auto chess battler. That's kind of the name that has been attached to this ever since auto chess came out a couple of years ago. You use the League of Legends characters to form a team, and then you battle against other teams. So you will get, at the start of each round, you will get a list of different champions. They all have different traits that are associated with them. For instance, you'll see right now at the bottom of the screen a bunch of different little League of Legends characters, and they all have traits. So for example, I have just bought Darius. His traits are Syndicate and Bodyguard. And as you will see, when I put him on the roster, the traits pop up on the left-hand side of the screen. So he is Syndicate and Bodyguard. And when he is in, you can see that those traits will go on the left-hand side. You need a certain number of champions to activate those traits. So for example, you need 2 Bodyguards to get the Bodyguard trait. And you will need 3 Syndicates to get the Syndicate trait. All right, here we have the special ability of Set 6, and that is Hextech Augments. You will get the choice of 3 augments periodically throughout the game. They each have different abilities, and this is really where the replayability comes in this set. You will get the chance to pick these different augments. You get 3 of them over the course of the game. You will get 3 options each time you're asked to pick, and they all do different things, as you can see. So this is where the replayability of the set comes in. You'll get different choices each game. They can take you in different directions. Some of them will make your team super tanky. Some of them will cause your team to do more damage. Some of them will give you an extra, basically, character slot of certain traits, and all sorts of different stuff. Some of them make your shot better, etc. So in this particular game, I have picked one called Exiles, and what this one does is it gives my units a small shield at the start of combat if no one is standing next to them. So that's kind of the trick here is my units get a little shield if no one is standing next to them during combat. So I need to have all my characters not like each other, stand as far away as possible, and then for that reason, they will get that Exile shield benefit. It's not a huge shield, but those kind of things do add up over time. All right, so I've already mentioned here, you form your team out of little League of Legends characters. You buy them in the shop at the beginning of each round. And so every game starts with you picking an initial champion off of the carousel. Then you have a couple of minion rounds. And then we get to this, which is the main focus of the gameplay, is you will play against other players. So every lobby has 8 players in it. Everybody starts with 100 health. You will then get 3 matches against other players at the start of each stage. Then there'll be another carousel with champions holding items on them. And then you'll get 2 more matches against other players. And then there's another minion round. And then it resets over again. And it just keeps repeating until everybody gets knocked out. When you win, you don't take damage. When you lose, you take damage. So for example, I won that round, and I did 6 damage to the other player. So the closer the rounds are, the less damage the loser takes. So if it's like a close loss, then the person who loses doesn't take much damage. If it's like a huge crushing loss, then the other person does take a whole bunch of damage. So makes sense. All right, other stuff that's going on here. Well, at the moment, all of my champions are just one individual version of that champion. They are all 1-star champions at the moment, but by collecting additional copies of each champion, you can kind of rank them up into stronger versions of that champion. And that's actually kind of the main goal of the game, is getting as many different versions of these champions as possible. If you have 3 versions of a champion, they form a 2-star version of that champion. So get 3 copies of a unit, and you get a 2-star version of that unit. And if you can get 9 versions of a unit, that's 3 2-star versions, then you get a 3-star version of the unit. So right here, you can see Ziggs lights up in the shop. This is actually an amazing shop for me. It's all units I'm already playing. So I am able to get a 2-star version of Ziggs. That's 3 Ziggs. And then I also get another Darius, and I get another Twisted Fate, and then I also get another Zyra. So it's just an amazing shop for me. I just about nothing. The only thing that would have been better is if I had gotten another Darius, because I'm really looking to make 2-star Darius right now. Darius is serving as my frontline tank, and he's kind of the most important unit that I'm playing in my team composition right now. Obviously, there's all sorts of different teams. I've been running into teams that have the Innovator Trait these last 2 rounds. That's an example of one of the different traits. There's, probably about 24 of them in this game. And what that does is the innovators get an extra little unit that appears on the map. They get to put a little mechanical, like hex tech unit, and you get stronger versions of that as you play more innovator units. Here at Innovator 3, which is what this person's playing, they get a mechanical scarab, like a little beetle that crawls around. It's this set's version of the build an extra unit trait. All right, so we are back to the carousel. I mentioned that you get 3 PvP rounds against other players, and then you go to the carousel. And as far as who picks when on the carousels, it's based on your health. So whoever has less health gets to pick first, and then it goes in order until the person who has the most health picks last. And that's the main catch-up mechanic in this game. So the less health you have, the sooner you get to pick, and the earlier you get to choose what's on here. And knowing what to pick on the carousels is one of the big gameplay features in Teamfight Tactics. Usually you are selecting for... By the way, I get another amazing shop here. I hit 2-star Darius and 2-star Twisted Fate and get a Leona, which is really good for me as well. So typically you're picking for items off the carousel because the only way you can get items is through minion rounds or through carousels. So typically you will pick for the items, but sometimes there's a champion that you really want, and you will want to pick that instead. Now, the other thing I'm doing right now is I am looking at some of the other boards. By the way, you can always look at what other people are playing in Teamfight Tactics. This is a game that does not have hidden knowledge. There's no fog of war in this match. You can always go ahead and look at what the other people are playing, and it's usually a good idea to try to see what the other people are playing. Obviously, the more time you have to spend fiddling with your own team, the less time you have to scout. But when you have extra time, instead of just sitting there doing nothing, you usually might as well just look and see, hey, what are other people playing? Here in set 6, that's going to be what augments are they running, because that can tell you a lot about their team. And it can also be a case of just seeing what are the other traits that are being played. That's important because all of the units draw from the same pool. So for example, there's a limited pool of champions. For example, I have 3 Dariuses. One 2-star Darius, that's 3 total Dariuses. And they're all drawn from the same pool. So for example, that means there are 3 fewer Dariuses in the pool. I believe the 1-cost units, I think there's about 27 of them in the total pool. So there's quite a lot of the 1-star units, or the 1-cost units. But as you can move into more expensive units, there's fewer and fewer of them in the pool. There's, I believe there's only 10 copies of the most expensive 5-cost units. So if you have 6 copies of a 5-cost unit, that means there's only 4 of them available for anyone else to get. So it is important what other people are playing. And if you're too contested on one particular team composition, then that can be pretty bad. Anyway, so things are going well right now. I've kind of 2-starred my whole board, or just about my whole board. I think Leona is not 2-starred and Zyra is not 2-starred, but everything else is. So I've had very good luck in terms of hitting stuff. Getting this many 2-stars this early in the game is quite nice. So one of the things I'll talk about now is I'm going to talk a little bit about how the economy works in Teamfight Tactics. So the way that the game works is you level up over the course of the game. Each level allows you to play an additional unit. For example, right now I'm level 5. That means I can have 5 units on my board. One of the reasons why you want to push to higher levels is you can play more units. Obviously, having 7 units is better than having 3 units. So having more units is good. That's one reason why you want to level up. The other reason is as you level, you get access to more expensive units and better units. So all the units have a cost associated with them. If you look at my shop, Talon 2 cost, Katarina 2 cost, Malzahar 3 cost. So some units are more expensive than others. The more expensive units tend to be the better units. I mean, makes sense, right? As you get access to more expensive units, you get access to better units as the game goes on. And what dictates what units show up in your shop is what level you are. If you look at the interface right above Twisted Fate in the shop, you'll see little percentages. They say 45%, 33%, 20%, 2%. Those are the odds for each tier of cost unit to show up. So right now when my shop rolls at the beginning of each round, I have 45% odds to get 1-cost units, 33% odds to get 2-cost units, and so on. So right now at level 5, I only have 2% odds to get the 4-cost units. I don't think any of them have shown up in my shop yet. And I have 0% odds to get the 5-cost units, which are the legendary units. By the way, here I suddenly remember that I have exiles as my augment and realize, hey, wait a minute, why do I have units standing next to each other? They're not getting the exiles benefit. So I belatedly realized that, and I'm going to space out my team. So one of the things you want to do is you want to level up because you will get access to the more expensive and better units. If you're still playing all 1-cost and 2-cost units at the end of the game, you're probably not going to do very well. Even if you've managed to 3-star some of the 1-cost units, they're just inherently weaker units. Like, they have lower stats, their abilities are not as strong. So you really, really need to get access to the more expensive and better units as the game goes on. Here, I just toss in a unit called Seraphine because she has a trait called Socialite that puts a spotlight on the battlefield. I was checking to see where the spotlight was located. It's one of the features here in set 4, this Socialite trait, and it's in a location that I don't particularly want, so I'm going to look not to play Socialite trait in this game, but I was just curious where that spotlight would pop up. Anyway, so that's kind of one of the reasons why you want to level up. Leveling up is good because you get to play more units, and as I mentioned, you also get access to more expensive and therefore better units in this game. There's another reason why you want to level up, though, and that is to make use of the interest mechanic. So let's talk a little bit about gold in this game. You probably have noticed there in my shop, it says 29 gold. You get access to gold at the beginning of every round, and then there's a couple other ways that you get gold. Here is going to be my second Hextech augment, by the way. I have, looking at these different options, can see a couple different things. I can get a random item. I can get underdogs, which is if you're going for fewer units but better units, which I'm not really doing here. And I opt to take Celestial Blessing, which is just kind of a just kind of a generic thing that all my units will heal for some of the damage they do. It's not great or anything, but I had more use for it than the other options right there. And then here I'm going to go ahead and level to level 6. It costs 4 gold to level, by the way. So you pay 4 gold for 4 XP. And I go ahead and level here. I actually level on an off-level timing, but I wanted to put that 2-star Swain on the board and get 4 Arcanist into play. Arcanist is a trait that provides additional ability power to your whole team. So basically it means your spells and abilities do more damage. Yeah, your team gains 20% ability power. Arcanist gains 45%. And Arcanist is going to be the core trait that I'm playing through in this game. I have already made an item called Spear of Shojin on Ziggs, and that is going to be used later on for a late game Arcanist. That's going to be my primary carry in this match. All right, so we've got another PvP round. We've got another carousel coming up after this. I should talk a little bit about the items, I suppose. You have noticed me making use of these items. Items come in the form of components. So, for example, I have a glove on my bench. Brawler's Glove is the official name there. And the Brawler's Glove can combine with the other item components to make different items. So, for example, if I pair the glove with a sword, I get an item called Infinity Edge that deals a lot of physical damage. I can also pair the glove with a rod, which is the item that causes you to do additional magic damage. And I get an item that causes spells to have a chance to critically strike, which they don't normally have the ability to do. So that's another one of the key things in the game, combining together items and building taking the item components and building them into the finished items that you actually want. So here I was looking for a rod because I wanted to make that item I just mentioned. Jeweled Gauntlet allows the spells to critically strike. There's no rod here. I'm also picking last because I'm on a win streak. I was expecting to win streak because I had all these 2-star units. So since that's not available, I'm just going to look to go ahead and take a tank item. I'm going to take the cloak, which is the item that provides magic resistance, and this can be used for another frontline item for Darius. So I would have preferred to take some extra spell damage, but I don't hit it, and so instead I'll take another tank item instead, and that can potentially go on Darius, who's just been this fantastic frontline tank throughout the game thus far. By the way, my whole board is like 2-starred, so I've been really hitting throughout this game. You are not this lucky all the time, but in this game I have been lucky. All right, so the other thing I need to mention is the interest mechanic in terms of how the economy works in this game. So I mentioned before, you always get 5 gold at the start of every round. So you're always going to get 5 gold to start each round. And then you can get additional gold based on a couple of other factors. One of the factors is whether you are on a winning or a losing streak. Now you'll notice next to the 33 gold, there's a little indicator that says 5, and then it has a little flame symbol next to it. That indicates I've won 5 rounds in a row. And going on win streaks or loss streaks is inherently good because you get additional income based on being on a streak. You get no extra gold for just being one loss or one win. But then if you have 2 wins or losses in a row, you get an extra gold. And then if you get up to 4 wins or losses in a row, you get 2 extra gold. And if you're up to five or more wins or losses in a row, you get 3 extra gold each round. So that makes a pretty big difference. If you're on a 5-match win streak, as I am here, instead of getting 5 gold at the start of the round, I'll get 8. I mean, that's a big jump. That's 30% more gold. So it's obviously not great to be on a loss streak if you're losing lots of matches in a row. You're losing health. Like one person in this game is on 29 HP, which is not good. But a catch-up mechanic is if you are losing a ton of matches in a row, you do get extra income. Of course, you also get extra income for winning a bunch of rounds in a row. The other way that you get gold is based on how much money you have in the bank at the start of each round. This is the interest mechanic. So for every 10 gold in your bank, you get an additional 1 gold at the start of the next round. So right now I have 40 gold in my bank, and that means that I get 4 extra gold at the start of the next round. So let's see, I get the base 5 gold, I get 3 gold for winning rounds, and then I get 12 gold, or then I get 3 gold for being on a win streak. So the net result of that would be 5 plus 4 plus 3, 12, and I did indeed get 12 gold at the start of that round. So if at all possible, you'd always like to stay above 50 gold because that gets you the max 5 gold interest each round. So being over 50 gold is great. You'd love to be there at all times. But while that gold is sitting in your bank, it's not doing anything to make you stronger. You're not using it to buy champions, and you're not using it to re-roll the shop, which I'll talk more about in a minute. So, that having gold sit there in your bank is great in terms of, your economy, but it doesn't translate into a stronger board. So you have to keep that in mind. By the way, I have just continued to be hitting in this game. My board is still entirely 2-starred here. So if I had a weaker board, what I'd be looking to do is I'd be looking to roll. I'd be looking to re-roll the shop. But because my board is so strong, I do not need to do that. And I'm going to look to just push economy and try to get to level 8 as soon as possible. Because at level 8, I get access to, I have much better odds of getting 4-cost and 5-cost units. Again, the best units, the strongest units. And I'm going to wait to try and roll the shop until I can get to level 8. So I'm just going to try to econ, sit there, just collect interest and push levels for the next couple rounds because I think my board is strong enough that I'll be able to win most of these rounds based on the position that my board is in. Now, I've talked a little bit about the shop mechanic and how to re-roll it, so let's cover that in a little bit more detail. I have not done this. I don't know if I've done that even one time in this game because I've just been in very strong position thanks to having some very lucky shops in this game. But you can spend 2 gold to re-roll the shop. If you look on the interface, I'll get back to it in a second. I'm watching one of the other fights end here. But on the interface in the bottom left-hand corner, it'll say buy XP 4 gold or refresh 2 gold. So you can at any point in time spend 2 gold and you can refresh the shop. It's just like the start of a new round. You re-roll what's in the shop and then you get a completely new flop of 5 champions to pick from. So you can spend gold to reroll the shop and get access to more champions. Now, rerolling the shop obviously does not make you inherently stronger. It just gives you a chance to buy other champions. But, economically, it's not great because you're investing gold that's not going into leveling and is not going into purchasing units, which is what makes you stronger. But it's still worthwhile to do that because, you can't just sit there and wait for the shop to refresh at the start of every single round. In particular, if you're struggling in the game, if you're weak, you need to get stronger right now. And so it's worthwhile to invest money. Like that person on 12 HP right now, they better be re-rolling the shop like crazy because they're about to die and they need to spend money to get champions so that they can get stronger. Anyway, this round is finally not going great. This person has a bunch of 3-star champions, 1-cost 3-star champions that they're playing. And unfortunately, I do end up losing that round. I actually almost won that round as well. Darius was at like 98% mana and didn't get another cast off. And if he had, I would have won that round. But I'm expecting to lose some of these rounds here just because other people are going to be spending their money to refresh the shop. Whereas I'm just sitting here dumping all my money into leveling, which is not going to do anything until I actually get up to level 8. So this is really the big strategic trade-off in the game. You have to be sitting there thinking to yourself, when am I safe to invest money in leveling? Because of course you always want to be higher levels if possible, or almost always. There are some strategies that are based on staying at a lower level. But generally speaking, you want to be getting to higher levels if at all possible, but you can't always do that. So the big question is when am I safe to push levels? How strong is my board relative to the rest of the lobby? When do I need to invest money in rerolling? etc., etc. You get the idea. And that's really one of the big things you have to think about. And one of the big skills in the game is not just how to build the team compositions, but when do I need to reroll? When can I push levels? How strong is my board relative to the rest of the lobby? And that's where I find the gameplay to be most interesting. So there's a lot of deep strategy to this game. This is not the most complicated game, but it is a game that has a lot of depth to it, which is something that I like. We're back to another carousel again. I have last pick because I have the most health. I generally don't mind being last pick because I think you can usually get something useful, even if it's not exactly what you want. And I'm just waiting here. I'm still hoping that that rod, the needlessly large rod, that's the purple rod, I'm hoping it's going to be there. And it actually is. So that's perfect for me. That's kind of good luck. It helped that apparently there's another person who's playing Shaco, which is the unit that rod was on. They had just hit a 3-star Shaco, so they didn't need a Shaco in their shop. But this is still good luck. I was able to get the item that I most wanted, even though I had last pick. And so, we're still just kind of chilling here. I should talk a little bit about the units I've been running. I've been talking a lot about Darius. Darius has been my tank throughout the game. Darius is a frontline unit. I mentioned he has the bodyguard trait, which gives him extra armor. He's getting that with Leona, who's also a frontline unit. Darius is holding 2 items. He's got a bramble vest, which gives him even more armor, and then an item called gargoyle stone plate for his other item, which gives him extra armor and magic resistance based on how many other units are attacking him. He's also a little bit overtuned right now. He's a little stronger than a 1-cost unit should be, so I'm just kind of exploiting that right now. This round I know is not going to go great because I'm hitting the person who has a 3-star Shaco. I'm actually kind of shocked that this person already has a 3-star Shaco on stage 4 or 5. That's pretty early to have a 3-cost 3-star unit. This round is a little bit closer than I was expecting, and that's because Darius has the Bramble Vest, which one of its side benefits is it protects you from being critically strike. And Shaco's an assassin who's all about doing crit damage. And TF even kills one more unit there. So I lose that round, which is not surprising. I need to get to higher tier units to be able to deal with that Shaco. Here is our third and final augment of the game. We have a couple different choices here. I'm going to choose Sunfire Board, which burns everybody on the enemy team at the start of combat for the first 8 seconds. And the reason why I picked this, the other options would be decent, but the reason why I picked this is I have no healing reduction in my team composition right now. So I'm going to take the Sunfire Board because it'll serve as a healing debuff for the whole enemy board for the first 8 seconds. And that's pretty important because there's a lot of different abilities that have healing, that have different forms of healing in this game. So you really want some kind of healing reduction. And I just don't have any items that do that right now, or champion abilities that do that. So that's why I go ahead and pick that. So one of the cool things about the augments is you get offered these choices, and then you need to think about what's best for your game. So that's why I thought that was best for my board. I'm getting close to hitting level 8. You can see I'm getting 10 gold each round, the base 5 gold, and then another 5 gold for being over 50 gold in my bank. So I'm just dumping 10 XP into leveling every round. And so my plan is I'm going to go to level 8 at the end of this stage, and then I will roll down at level 8 and see what I hit and try to form my final board. Now, I mentioned Darius was kind of my main unit up front. The other unit I've been playing through is Ziggs. Ziggs is a 1-cost unit, so he's not an especially great unit. He's a 1-cost 2-star unit right now, but he is basically holding my items for my endgame carry. And this is something that you commonly will do in this game is like if you have a 4-cost or 5-cost unit that's going to be your main carry at the end of the game, obviously you're not going to have them at the start of the game. So you use an early game unit to hold the items for the person who's going to be serving as your carry later on. So that's what Ziggs has been doing. He's been serving as my item holder. He has a Spear of Shojin, which is the item that generates additional mana. And he's also got that Jeweled Gauntlet, and now I'm trying to find where I can put this new unit, Lysandra, in so she's not standing next to anyone. And there we go. That looks good. So he has the Spear of Shojin, which generates additional mana on auto attacks. He also has the Jeweled Gauntlet, which will allow spells to critically strike. And the other thing he has is an item called Static Shiv, which is a magic resist debuff for the enemy team. And I actually get a sword here, which is amazing because now I can make an Infinity Edge, which combines extremely well with the Jeweled Gauntlet. So that was really lucky. I can't say that I planned that, but got really, really lucky there from last time. And here's Victor. Victor is the 5-cost Arcanist. So he is the top tier Arcanist. So I'm going to put the Spear of Shojin on him, and I'm going to put the Infinity Edge on him. And these are considered to be the best in slot items. So I'm also now going to ditch the TF. I replaced TF with Lux. And now I'm just rolling here and seeing what else I can find. And I actually didn't have time to finish rolling down here, but that's fine. I've been able to get Victor, and I've been able to get Lux in here. And so I'm just going to have Lux take the Static Shiv. So both Victor and Lux are Arcanists. Lux is the 4-cost Arcanist, Victor's the 5-cost Arcanist, and their abilities are very strong. Victor's probably a little too overpowered in this patch as well for that reason. Lux's ability is she fires out a laser that hits the whole board. If she kills anything, then she gets some of the mana cost refunded. And Victor's ability is somewhat similar. He fires a series of lasers that kind of hit the whole board and kill everything. Although that didn't happen that time, we were unable to finish off that Innovator team composition. So again, I'm transitioning into my late game board. I moved out of Darius and Twisted Fate, or actually Darius is still in there. And I actually get a second Victor here. I was like, oh man, I only need one more Victor, and then I'll have Victor 2-star. That would be fantastic. So I played Syndicate for a long time in this on this board. Syndicate was an ability that gave some extra armor and magic resist to one of the Syndicate units, which was pretty much always Darius. But now that I've moved out of Darius and I moved out of the Zyra and I moved out of the Twisted Fate, I've dropped Syndicate and I've moved into higher tier units. So Darius was a 1-cost unit. I've replaced him with Braum, who's a 4-cost unit. I dumped the Zyra and replaced her with Janna. Zyra was a 2-cost unit. Janna's a 4-cost unit. So now my frontline bodyguards are Leona, who's a 3-cost unit, and Braum, who's a 4-cost unit. And I replaced the Zyra with Janna, who's just a better unit. And Victor just killed the whole board right there when he ulted because he obviously got off a crit. He's actually guaranteed to crit on his spells because he has the Infinity Edge plus Jeweled Gauntlet combo. And as I said, this is considered to be best in slot itemization for Victor. Arcanist gives him a ton of ability power, and yeah, he just is a very strong unit. So right here, I hit 2-star Lux, and I was like, all right, time to stop rolling. We'll just go to level 9 right now. It is very expensive to get to level 9 in this game. It costs 80 gold to level up to level 9. From level 8 to level 9 is 80 XP, and it's 4 gold for 4 XP. So you basically have to spend 80 gold to make that transition. You can, of course, you do get 2 XP for free at the start of every round, but that would take 40 rounds, and you're never going to get through 40 rounds. So you're going to have to dump in a lot of XP to get there. Whether to go to 9 or not is always a question in Teamfight Tactics. In many games, it is not worthwhile to try to go up to level 9. But in this game, I'm in such a strong position. My whole board is basically 2-starred. Everything except Janna and Victor is 2-starred, I think, at the moment. So there's no reason to keep rolling here. I should just go to level 9. At level 9, I'll have the best odds to get the legendary units. I'll have very good odds to 2-star Victor if I can make it up to level 9. And I'll have a chance to find other legendary units that are also going to be strong. And of course, I get to play one more unit. That's always nice. And I think I'd probably just toss in another Enchanter if I can't find anything else better. But we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get. All right, another carousel here. So I'm going to have a choice to pick between some different items. I was looking to see, there was a Victor on this carousel. I would 100% take that Victor just because it would make Victor 2-star. But someone else already takes it, which is a little bit sad. So now I'm going to have to wait and see what other items to pick. I also would have taken the Spear of Shojin, but that gets grabbed. And out of these items, I can't use the Bloodthirster. I can't use I think that's an Imperial emblem. So I'm just going to take the Gunblade. It's not great in this situation, but it's the best out of the options that I have available. So I'll go ahead and look to take that. So right now, I by the way, I also just have this random Negatron cloak, so I'm just going to stuff it on Janna right here. The Hextech Gunblade causes the user's abilities to heal them, and here in set 6, it also causes the lowest health unit. It heals the lowest health unit on your team as well. I'm highlighting Victor's ability. Basically, Victor summons a bunch of death rays that hit the whole board and deal just a crazy amount of damage. It also shreds the armor of the enemy team, which is kind of bizarre. But yeah, Victor's really strong. The thing that holds Victor back is his mana costs are incredibly high. I think his ability costs 160 mana, which is just an absurdly high amount. But what I have helping him out is he's got the Spear of Shojin, which causes him to get extra mana on every auto attack. And I also have a trait called Scholar, which gives everybody on my team extra mana every second. I think they get 5 mana every couple of seconds or something like that. So that's what I'm doing to try to pump up Victor and get him to cast more frequently. I actually do lose that round, which is not ideal, but I'm still in good shape. I'm just going to hold off here. I'm going to continue looking to level. Again, I could roll, but what would I roll for? I'm mostly rolling for Victor. But Victor, I have much better odds to find Victor at level 9 than at level 8. I have 5% odds to find legendary units at level 8, and I'll have 15% odds at level 9. So I'll have just much better odds. in order to find Victor. If I can get to level 9. And I'm confident that I can get there. I still have 52 health, which is quite a bit. As I mentioned, you lose more health per round if you have a crushing loss. If it's a close loss, you don't take as much damage. And the longer the game goes on, the more damage you take each round too. So in stage 2, you don't take much damage for losing, but in stage 5, you take more damage. So it makes sense, the game needs to come to a conclusion. So the longer the game goes on, the more damage you take for losing rounds. All right, now here I'm up against an Innovator board that actually is Innovator 7 and has the Mechanical Dragon, which is pretty funny, carried over from League of Legends. But the Dragon is more of a tank. All the Innovator units are more tanks than damage sources. They do damage, but they're more tanks than true damage sources. So I ultimately, Lux is able to finish that off, and we eliminate that player, unfortunately for them, and they apparently weren't super happy about it. So I get another Static Shiv here. Obviously would not be the item I would pick, but that's the item we've got. So I'll just toss this on Lux because it'll give her more attack speed, and it'll give her a little bit more mana at the start of each round, so she'll cast a little bit faster. But most of them just making use of this because it's the item I'm getting. By the way, the game's giving me a bunch of Heimerdingers here who I'm not interested in playing in this comp right now, but whatever. All right, so right here, by the way, I get a Jason. That's kind of an interesting unit. So I'm going to go to level 9. I can always play Jace if I don't find anything else. I also pick up the Orianna here, and I'm going to keep rolling. And I'm like, come on, give me that Victor. Give me that Victor 2-star. Come on. Come on, give me that Victor. I mean, I'm seeing some other legendary units, but not Victor. And I was like, that's a little bit disappointing. So now I want to shuffle my comp around slightly so I can still keep getting that Exiles benefit. Put this on Lux, and then, or wait, I put it on Mauls. Okay, I actually thought I put this on Lux. I'm recording this from memory. I guess I put it on Mauls, so in case Lux gets popped early in the fight, someone else has a Static Shiv. Static Shiv is responsible for that electricity effect you're seeing. It's every couple auto attacks, the electricity procs go off. Now, the electricity does some magic damage on Static Shiv, but the main reason why I want it in this comp is it's a magic resist debuff, so it'll cause, all my damage is magic damage in this comp, so it'll cause extra damage from Lux and Victor when they use their abilities. And even though Lux casts 3 times, Victor's one spellcast does more damage. So yeah, I'm going to pick up the here. And you know what? I probably should have considered picking up the Galio. I could have just picked up Galio and played him over the Orianna, and that might have been better. That would have given me a Socialist Spotlight, and Galio is a really, really tanky unit, but I don't know. That might have been better overall. Galio is a Colossus unit, and Colossus units actually count as taking 2 slots in this game, which is kind of interesting. That's a new set mechanic here for set 6. But I opt not to do that. I'm mostly just, again, still rolling to try to hit the Victor 2-star. Victor 2-star would just be ridiculous. With 4 Arcanists in here, he will basically one-shot the entire board if I'm able to pull that off. This is the one comp I'm worried about. This is the Shaco 3-star. This is an assassin-based team comp, so this is the one that I've been most concerned about. I actually have a ghost round here. I'm hitting this team composition, but if I win, I won't deal damage, and that's because we have an odd number of players in the lobby, which is something that could happen. By the way, the Bramble Vest is doing work right here. Braum is only alive in this fight because he has the Bramble Vest. All right, here I find Yuumi, who is another Scholar unit. And so I'm going to replace the Lysandra with her. And then I find another Yuumi, so I'll pick that up as well. And this is just a higher tier unit that has Scholar. And then I'm still rolling here. I actually sell the Orianna, who's not a crucial unit, to see if I could find Victor. I don't find the Victor, but I'm going to continue rolling for it. And since I know I'm up against this assassin player, we're the only ones left in the lobby, I'm going to do the standard thing that you do to protect yourself against assassins, which is to bunch up your carries in the corner. Assassins always jump to the back line at the start of the fight. So by boxing up my carries here, I'm trying to protect Victor. If I win this round, I can probably end the game right here. Unfortunately, Victor does not get his cast off. Akali, who's the 5-cost legendary assassin, gets her cast off. I was like, all right, well, can I win this round? I have very little left on my team, but Braum is still alive. He's still got that Bramble Vest. Bramble Vest means you don't take extra damage from critical strikes, and it looks like that's going to be enough to clutch this one out. And hey, there we go. Do enough damage to finish that one off. So even though Victor didn't get his cast off, we still won the fight anyway. And I think I would have hit Victor 2-star pretty soon anyway. So this is a really easy game. This is the first game I played in set 6. I had been playing this game on the beta environment, the PvE. So I already had some practice with this game. And I high rolled pretty good in this game. I kind of just 2-starred everything except Victor. That was the only place where my luck was bad. But I hope it gives you an idea of kind of how to play this game and hope to serve as a useful introduction to teamfight tactics. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's the start of a new set. It's a great time to start learning this game. If you want to pick up Teamfight Tactics and you don't play it, this is the perfect time to do so. And you can come join us for some games. Until then, have a great week. I'll see you guys soon. Until then, take care.